Hello, it's Rodney Lopez from the admissions office here at the Gordon School, and this is Faces in the Hallway, where we just sort of grab one of the teachers who are walking in the hallway and ask them about their academic area of focus and talk about their academic program. And right now, I'm speaking with Irene Horton, who's a middle school math teacher here at Gordon. How are you, Ms. Horton?
Doing great, doing great.
Thank you for doing this. So first of all, tell me, how long have you been teaching here at Gordon?
Okay, great question. So, 8 years I think I've been here. I was here for 1 year, and then I took a year off when my son was born, and then I've been here ever since. And I've taught math and science in the middle school.
Wonderful. So we talk in this school about student as mathematician, right? So why don't you tell us a little bit about that philosophy of teaching students as if they were mathematicians?
Yeah, so we really believe that all kids have this strength within them to think about the world analytically and think, we want them to be able to, reason through problems that they experience, and that means like in all of these different areas, and that starts from a really young age.
We talk at Gordon about being a courageous learner. What does courageous learning look like in the math program?
And I think this is like a huge, really important part of our Gordon program, is that we want kids to feel comfortable taking risks and not like categorize themselves into this, a lot of kids do think about themselves as, either really great at math or being like a horrible math person. And we want to really erase that. And we think about that in terms of gender, we think about that in terms of race. Like, we want kids to know that they have the strength within them to do anything that they want to do. So in math, we encourage group work all the time, cooperative learning, and they are, exchanging ideas and trying things and making mistakes is a huge part of their learning. So every night for homework, they're doing corrections on the work that they're doing. We're not expecting them to get every problem right, because that's not going to happen, and we don't want that to happen, because so much of their learning is going to happen from the mistakes that they make. So they make mistakes, they correct their mistakes, they talk with their partners about what they're learning or where they're confused, and that kind of collaboration sort of takes away some of the pressure that kids feel in math class. That there's so much anxiety often around math, and we really don't want that to be how kids see math. And we want them to see it as a really open subject that like involves drawing and visualizing and using all the tools that they have in all their other subjects. That math is just not so finite the way that we teach it here.
That's really great. That's really great to hear. So, in a typical school, there might be a report card. There might be, you've got a 90 average or a 70 average, or you're satisfactory or meeting the standards in terms of assessment. What does assessment look like in the math program here at Gordon? What kinds of feedback are students getting and their parents getting about their children in math?
In the middle school, we do give multiple kinds of assessments, and we give tests like in most math classrooms, and then we also do projects to assess students' learning. But the thing that's really important, I think, that separates us from sometimes other schools is that we give kids, first of all, there's like really differentiated assessments based on where your child is in that moment. So for every unit, students can opt in with their family's input and their teacher's input, the level of challenge that they need for the particular content that we're learning. And then their assessments reflect the kinds of problems that they've been practicing and the kinds of challenging, whether they're looking at totally novel ideas and expanding their applications of their thinking. Different students are doing different things for every single assessment. There's many versions of the assessment for each child. And then the learning doesn't always end at the assessment. So they may have the test on a Thursday, they get, feedback about how things went for them, but then we always really expect them to look back at their test and do some metacognition, and where they're like looking at their mistakes, writing about their mistakes, saying like what happened, that they misunderstood something, or where the learning was, or now like maybe 3 days later, maybe they understand something now that they didn't understand before, and that's a really important part of our process. And then the projects again are another part of our assessment, where kids are applying their skills that they're learning in class and working with their partners to maybe build a catapult that has to you know, follow a certain trajectory, like when we learn about parabolas, or just now they learned about like line of best fit, and we did a project where they're, you know, trying to design a particular model of a ride that would be at a roller coaster that they could analyze data. So we try to give them multiple ways to show their understanding, and a lot of their understanding we also are gauging from their daily work that they're showing.
That's great. So it just sounds like there are different ways for students to access their aptitudes in math. It's you know, multidisciplinary, and it isn't just sort of one way to get at a problem.
Right, and I think what often happens too is that I think students worry that, like, when you're in a heterogeneous group like this, that some kids who are doing, you know, less applied problems or more, you know, where they're accessing this content at a different place than other students in the class. But we really encourage, we don't want like just the stronger student to be trying to teach that other student. They're working together collaboratively on all the same kinds of problems. Everyone's learning the same content. The kinds of challenge may be different, but everybody is always working together in class. We don't separate them that way in class at all.
That's wonderful. That's great. Well, we were just talking with Irene Horton, middle school math teacher here at Gordon. Irene, thank you for talking with me for a few minutes.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. So this is just another face in the hallway that you see here at Gordon talking about our wonderful academic program. We'll see you in the next installment.